Beverly Bond is a DJ and producer. Yeah, give it up for Beverly Bond. Beverly Bond is a DJ and producer who first came to New York City when she was 17 years old to pursue a modeling career. She began at Elite New Faces and later enjoyed a lucrative career at Wilhelmina, modeling for clients such as Diesel Jeans, Guess, Nike, Nordstrom's, Dockers, MTV, Lady Foot Locker, and Virginia Slims. How many people remember Virginia Slims? My mother smokes Virginia Slims. Maybe that's because I'm from Virginia. Back to Beverly Bond. Although happy with her amazing career as a model, Beverly's first love has always been music. Back home in Maryland, she grew up listening to various genres of music such as jazz, blues, world beat, soul, and hip-hop. Following in her mother's footsteps, she became a serious record collector at an early age. I can attest to this. I've been to one of her studios and she has amazing, amazing records. She decided that the best way to express her affinity towards music was to become a DJ, where she could combine the symphonies and sounds of the entire world of music at her fingertips. She had hopes of spinning at small local clubs just for fun, but little did she know that within a year's time, she would become one of New York City's top DJs, spinning at major events such as VH1 Fashion Awards, the Glamour Fashion Awards, the CFDA Awards, ESPN's X Game Awards, D'Angelo's Voodoo album release party, the Chanel parties, the New York Planet Hollywood openings, and she also appeared as a celebrity DJ at Supermodel of the World contest, which hold at Puerto Rico. So she's traveling in her first year, can you believe that? She spun for... Yeah, we're gonna keep going with that. She's amazing. She spun for clients such as Playboy, Hugo Boss, Puff Daddy, Kimora Lee Simmons, Veronica Webb, and Andre Harrell, and has toured states with Sunshine Anderson and Music Soul Child as the official DJ for the Cavazier Tour. She appeared on BET's Rap City's The Basement and spins in New York's most exclusive nightclubs here in New York. DJ Beverly Bond continues to make waves both in her commercial and underground music worlds, as well as in fashion. She is, as a result, with her musical expertise, Russell Simmons' One World magazine recently gave Beverly a lifestyle column where she will profile various artists. She is widely known and respected for her music knowledge, unabashed versatility, skill, and unique style. Whether she's spinning in the Hamptons or holding down the club circuit right here in New York, she never fails to keep the crowd coming back for more. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming the fabulous Miss Beverly Bond.
Good evening.
Good evening, Beverly.
That was a trip down memory lane because that was actually my very first bio. Some of those things that you cited, I started DJing in 2000. One World magazine is closed. D'Angelo's coming back, I think.
Yes, he is.
I'm not sure if Sunshine Anderson's still It's an incredible honor to be here tonight and to be recognized for the work that I do with Black Girls Rock. Woo. And I'm truly, truly grateful for this blessing. I'd also like to thank everyone at Blackstreet and congratulate you on your first year anniversary. I'd also like to congratulate, it's a good 1 year. I'd also like to congratulate all the other wonderful honorees who are being acknowledged for their work tonight. Congratulations to all of you. It's an honor to be amongst you and featured with you. When you're presented with a recognition like this, it often causes self-reflection. It is humbling to be in a position to have your thoughts and your vision and your message and your work be viewed with high appraisal from the masses. But at the same time, it comes with a major sense of responsibility. As we become more powerful and more successful in the world, we should be mindful not to disconnect from the disparities and the hardships that others in our communities face, so much so that we do not know or we do not care that their problems even exist. This is a time when we are blessed to be one of the most self-determining generations in our history, and yet we're the most disconnected from our communal responsibility. We have the most collective wealth amongst us than ever before, and yet our communities remain the most impoverished. We have more access to education, and yet statistics show that we send more boys to prison than we do to college. We have more freedom to be liberal with our actions, and yet we are the most careless with the representations of our culture, our portrayal of our images, and the preservation of our great history. We of this time have benefited the most from past African American struggles, and yet we're the most selfish and the most apathetic towards the current African American crises. The challenge for us all, and especially those of us who are being recognized tonight, we who are considered to be amongst the most influential of our generation, is not just to accept these accolades for the sake of the recognition, but to realize that the recognition is presenting us with the charge to continue to work towards progressive change for our communities. I started Black Girls Rock in response to the constant barrage of images in the media that diminish the value and the worth of women as whole beings, negative one-sided imagery that seem to be the only representations of women of color. In a time when girls filter and in many cases internalize the negative hypersexual image emitted by mass media outlets, I felt that it was important that young women also receive messages and have role models and stakeholders who demonstrate to them that self-worth does not lie below their waist but above their shoulders. Yes. In a time where we are constantly being bombarded with images of women tearing each other apart, it was also important to me to teach our young girls the value of sisterhood, to affirm to our girls that they are unique and gifted, and that they are brilliant, and to assure them that they bear relevant contributions to deliver this world. I started Black Girls Rock as a call to action because the Black girl image needed a remix. Right. And the next generation of Black girls needed to see their sheroes. And our women needed a long overdue affirmation because nobody ever told us as a whole that we were special, so we needed to tell ourselves. Right. I saw that it was necessary to provide a platform to acknowledge Black women's contributions and to recognize the many women, past and present, whose leadership, strength, resolve, unique wisdom, and spirituality have contributed greatly to the advancement of women and to the advancement of our communities. So I started the Black Girls Rock Awards too. I was also inspired by the many Black girls who rocked throughout our history. Women warriors who served as agents of change, who stood on the front lines and who endured unfathomable horrors while fighting for our justice and our liberation so that we can enjoy the many freedoms that we have today. Black women have long possessed an incredible resolve, a courageous spirit, and resilience in the face of adversity and unsurmountable circumstances. With all of the social disparities that we repeatedly face as Black people, a Black woman's bravery often comes from knowing that we must do what needs to be done. It comes from a faith, and it comes from a selflessness and an understanding that every solution may not fully resolve a problem, but that doesn't absolve us from the responsibility to use our voice and to use our power, our position, our resources to do something. It comes from knowing that standing up for others in our communities who may not be able to stand up for themselves is not a choice, it's a duty. It's the understanding that we Black girls must make a difference. We have been, and we continue to be, crusaders for justice and champions for our people, our families, our race, and our gender, and this is why we rock. At the 2010 Black Girls Rock Awards on BET, Iyanla Vanzant said that Black girls rock because we have no other choice. That's right. She spoke of all of those who had come before us, fighting for our equality, and how we had no choice but to continue to add to their legacy of leadership, for we stand on the shoulders of giants. It is our obligation to build off of what has been provided to us by our ancestors for the next generations to come. When I first heard the phrase, each one, teach one, spoken by rapper KRS-One. That's why I heard it. I'm a DJ. But it resonated with me in such a way that it became a part of my mantra. The phrase gave me a clear understanding of my purpose in life. I understood that after I would come into my own, that I would have a responsibility to usher someone else along. Now, upon completing further research, to my surprise, I found that the term is actually an African proverb that came from slavery. because blacks were not allowed to learn or to read, certain courageous free blacks, white sympathizers, and literate slaves understood that despite the risk of being severely beaten, tortured, or even lynched, that it was important that the knowledge was passed on in order for enslaved people to eventually triumph over their captivity. The phrase, "each one, teach one," literally meant that any and every educated slave had an automatic obligation to teach another slave to read. The urgency that motivated people in that time to commit to an all for one and one for all mentality for the advancement of the whole community was catalyzed by the dire constraints of their conditions and the critical need for immediate change. Although we are not in those conditions today, we're still faced with several social disparities, and there is still a need for critical and immediate change. Today, our communities and our youth are in crisis. We have a crime crisis, a dropout crisis, a gang violence crisis, an HIV/AIDS crisis, a teenage pregnancy crisis, an imprisonment crisis for both men and now women. We have a homicide crisis, a health crisis, a poverty crisis, an abuse crisis, an education crisis, an illiteracy crisis, a walking while black crisis. As Tom Burrell says in his book, Brainwashed, we're at the top of every bad list and at the bottom of every good list. And yet, within our own communities, we promote a culture of greed and gluttony and materialism, while over 10 million black and Hispanic children live below the poverty line, and nearly 1 million black children live in extreme poverty. We've traded our communal sense of modesty and self-respect and dignity for voyeurism and lust, while sexually transmitted disease numbers continue to rise at alarming rates in our community. We continue to exaggerate black pathologies and buffoonery in our expressions of art, while corporations and poverty pimps profit off of our demise. And while all of this is going on, there are certain people amongst us who feel like they are the untouchables, the special blacks, who take this apathetic disposition on the black crisis as if their economic class excludes them from the issues facing the rest of us blacks. We are all connected and we are all affected. We cannot expect to heal if we continue to condone and to endorse messages that undermine, exploit, and deceive our youth into believing that they don't have to exceed beyond their limits, that they don't have to strive for excellence, or that the destructive and the dysfunctional behavior that they are often emulating is the key to their success. We have to teach our kids to think critically. We have to teach them the meaning of compassion. We have to give them confidence, and we have to strengthen them, and we must provide them with the tools that they need to make measurable progress in reasonable time so that they can become more valuable citizens and future leaders. Each one, teach one. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, that wasn't loud enough. Give it up one more time for Beverly, an amazing pioneer in our industry, an amazing mentor, just an amazing woman. Did you guys enjoy that as much as I did? Am I by myself? I can't be. That was amazing. Thank you so much. For you guys who aren't out there supporting you, need to definitely support Black Girls Rock. I know, Beverly, you